The Great Hall was silent. 4,000 species had sent their leaders to Station Primaris. They came from every corner of the galaxy. Some were tall and thin like shadows. Some were short and wide like rocks. Some had no bodies at all, just clouds of light that floated through the air. They were all here for one reason. They had come to watch a world die. High Arbiter Vaughn stood at the center of the hall. He was made of black stone that moved like water. 6 arms stretched out from his body. When he raised them, everyone stopped talking. "We are here to make an announcement," Vaughn said. His voice was deep and cold. "Earth, the third planet of the Sol system, has been destroyed. The Keth Dominion finished their attack 17 days ago. Our sensors have checked the planet many times. There is nothing left. No cities, no people, no life." He paused and looked around the hall. "Humanity is dead. We will remove them from the list of living species." Far from the center of the hall, in a small room with windows that looked down at the gathering, an old woman sat in a chair. Her name was Una. She was 73 years old. She had gray hair and tired eyes. She was the human ambassador to the Galactic Conclave. She had lived on this station for 40 years. Now she was being told that everyone she loved was gone. A young man stood behind her. His name was Taiho. He was her assistant. He was only 25 years old and had never been to Earth. But he had family there. Parents. A little sister. Grandparents who sent him messages on his birthday. "This cannot be true," Taiho whispered. His voice was shaking. "The Conclave sensors must be wrong." Una did not answer. She just stared at the hologram that showed the Great Hall. Her hands were trembling in her lap. Down in the hall, a creature made of sharp angles and hard shell stood near the front. This was Commander Kreth of the Keth Dominion. He was the one who had ordered the attack on Earth. He was the one who had killed 3 billion people, and he was smiling. At least, he was making the face his species made when they were happy. His mouthparts moved against each other in slow circles. "The Keth Dominion followed all rules," Kreth said. His voice was like metal scraping on metal. "The humans refused to give us what we wanted. We gave them warnings. They did not listen. So we did what we had to do." Many species nodded. War was common in the galaxy. Strong species took from weak species. This was how things worked. This was how things had always worked, but not everyone agreed. A small creature that looked like a blue frog raised its hand. The Keth did not give warnings. They attacked without reason. Earth was not a threat to anyone. Kreth turned his eyes toward the frog. Earth was in the way. Their space was valuable. They would not move. "We moved them." The frog said nothing more. It was afraid. Everyone was afraid of the Keth. High Arbiter Vaughn raised his arms again. "Let us continue. According to our records, there are 2,400 humans still alive. They are scattered across the galaxy. Most work on stations like this one. Some live on colony ships. Some have joined other species. They will be given refugee status. They will be protected." In her small room, Una finally spoke. 2,400. That is all that is left of us. Out of 3 billion. Taiho put his hand on her shoulder. He did not know what to say. What could anyone say? "Ambassador," he said quietly. "What do we do now?" Una closed her eyes. She thought about her sister on Earth. She thought about her nephews and nieces. She thought about her daughter, who had married a farmer and moved to the countryside. She thought about her grandchildren, who she had only seen in video messages. They were all gone, turned to ash by weapons that fell from the sky. "We wait," she said. "We remember. And we hope." Hope for what? Before Una could answer, something strange happened. The lights went out, not just in her room, not just on the station. The lights went out everywhere. Every ship, every beacon, every relay point for 3 systems in every direction. Everything went dark at the same moment. Then the alarms started screaming. Down in the Great Hall, chaos broke out. Species that could not see in the dark began to panic. Species that could see in the dark began to run anyway. No one knew what was happening. Arbiter Vaughn tried to restore order. Everyone remained calm. This is probably just a power failure. Our engineers will fix it soon. But the engineers could not fix it. Because this was not a power failure. This was something else. Above Station Primaris, above the thousands of ships that floated in space, a hole opened in reality. It was 2 kilometers wide. It was perfectly round. And it was darker than anything anyone had ever seen. The scientists would later call it a void breach. The religious species would call it a door to another world. The military species would call it a threat. They were all wrong. It was an answer. An answer to a question no one had thought to ask. An answer from people everyone thought were dead. And as the hole grew larger, as the darkness spread across the sky, Commander Kreth stopped smiling. Because somewhere deep inside his cold heart, he felt something he had not felt in a very long time. He felt afraid. In her small room, Una stood up and walked to the window. The hole in space was visible from here. It was the most terrifying thing she had ever seen. But for some reason, she was not afraid. She was hopeful. "What is that?" Taiho asked. Una smiled for the first time in days. "I think," she said, "that is our people coming home." The hole in space kept growing. It was now 5 kilometers wide. Dark light spilled from its edges. Every sensor in the system had gone blind. Every computer was screaming warnings that no one understood. And then something came through. It was a ship. But calling it a ship was like calling a mountain a rock. It was huge. It was ugly. It looked like someone had taken pieces of 100 different machines and stuck them together with hope and desperation. Its hull was covered in scars. Burn marks ran along its sides. Craters dotted its surface like wounds that had never healed. This ship had been through war. This ship had been through hell. And it was still flying. A voice came through every speaker in the system. It spoke in every language at once. It was the voice of an old man, tired but strong. "This is Admiral Do-hyun of the Terran Remnant Fleet. We are not dead. We are not fallen. And we have come to take back what is ours." In the Great Hall, no one moved. No one breathed. The words hung in the air like thunder. Then more ships came through the hole. They came in all sizes. Big carriers that held thousands of people. Small fighters that moved like angry bees. Long destroyers with weapons on every surface. Fat cargo ships loaded with supplies. Old mining vessels that had been given guns. Civilian transports with armor plates welded to their hulls. They just kept coming. 100 ships. 200. 500. 1,000. High Arbiter Vaughn watched the ships appear. His stone body cracked in places from the shock. "This is not possible. Our sensors showed total destruction. No life signs. No signals. Nothing." Commander Kreth was backing away from the center of the hall. His soldiers formed a circle around him. His hard shell had gone pale. "We burned their world. We melted their cities. We killed everything on the surface. There was nothing left. Nothing." A new voice came through the speakers. It was a woman this time, young and clear. "You burned the surface. You did not check what was underneath." On the main viewing screens, a face appeared. A human woman with short black hair and hard eyes. She wore a military uniform that had seen better days. Behind her, the bridge of a starship was full of activity. "I am Captain Jisoo of the carrier Defiance," she said. "I was 12 years old when you attacked our world. I watched from my school window as fire fell from the sky. My teacher pushed us into the basement. That basement saved our lives. She leaned forward. You thought you killed us. You were wrong. You just made us angry. In her small room above the Great Hall, Ambassador Yuna was crying. But these were not tears of sadness. They were tears of joy. Jisoo, she whispered. That is my granddaughter. Taiho stared at the screen. Your granddaughter? But how did she survive? How did any of them survive? The answer came from Admiral Do-yun. When the attack began, we had 6 hours before the first bombs hit. 6 hours to make a choice. We could not fight the Keth fleet. We did not have enough ships. We did not have enough weapons. So we did the only thing we could do. We went underground. Images appeared on every screen. Images of tunnels being dug at desperate speed. Images of people running into the darkness. Images of doors closing as fire rained down above. We built cities beneath the surface. We sealed ourselves in. We made air from rocks and water from ice. We grew food in the dark. We waited. The images changed. Now they showed factories, shipyards, engines being built, weapons being made. And while we waited, we worked. We built ships. We built engines. We built things that no one in this galaxy has ever seen before. On the screens, the images showed something strange. Scientists working on equations that hurt to look at. Machines that seemed to fold space like paper. Tests that made holes appear in reality. We discovered how to open the void, how to move through it, how to use it. It took us 17 years. 17 years of living in the dark. 17 years of eating bad food and breathing recycled air. 17 years of watching our old and sick die so our young could live. Admiral Do-hyun's voice became hard as steel. But we did it. We built a fleet. We opened a door. And we came here. The last of the ships came through the hole. Then the hole began to close. As it shrank, the count on the conclave sensors climbed higher and higher. 2,417 ships, the entire surviving human fleet dot in the Great Hall. Commander Kreth found his voice. This changes nothing. The Keth Dominion is powerful. We have 1,000 worlds. We have 1,000,000 ships. You are nothing. You are refugees. You are survivors of a dead race. Captain Jisoo laughed. It was not a happy sound. You still do not understand, do you? We did not come here to fight you. We did not come here to start a war. She smiled, and it was the smile of someone who had already won. We came here to show the galaxy what you did, and to show them what we survived. She turned to look directly at Commander Kreth through the camera. You tried to kill us. You failed. And now everyone knows it. In her room, Ambassador Yuna wiped her tears and stood straight. Her granddaughter was alive. Her people were alive. Earth was wounded, but not dead dot, and humanity had just reminded the galaxy of something very important. Humans do not die easily. Humans do not stay down when they fall. Humans fight. Humans survive. Humans come back, and when they come back, they remember everything. Taiho, Yuna said. Send a message to Captain Jisoo. Tell her that her grandmother wants to speak with her. Tell her that I am proud of her. Tell her that I am proud of all of them. Taiho nodded and began to work on the message. Outside, the human fleet spread across the sky like a promise. The promise of survival. The promise of justice, not the promise that no matter how dark things got, there would always be a light somewhere. Humanity had crawled out of its grave, and it was just getting started. The Galactic Conclave had many rules. Some were about trade. Some were about war. Some were about how species should treat each other. But one rule was older than all the others. It was called the Right of Reckoning. The right was simple. If someone tried to kill your entire species and failed, you could demand justice. You could decide what happened to the ones who hurt you. No one could stop you. No one could say no. Captain Jisoo stood in the great hall now. She had come down from her ship with 4 soldiers. The soldiers wore heavy armor that made them look like giants. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. But Jisoo herself wore only her uniform. She did not need armor. She did not need weapons. She had something better. She had the truth. I claim the right of reckoning, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. Against the Keth Dominion. Against their allies. Against everyone who watched our world burn and did nothing to help. The hall exploded with noise. Species that had traded with the Keth shouted in anger. Species that had looked away during the attack suddenly looked very nervous. Species that had quietly hoped humanity would die began to edge toward the exits. High Arbiter Vaughn raised his arms. The right is yours by law. No one can deny it. What do you want, Captain Jisoo? Do you want war? Do you want to destroy the Keth as they tried to destroy you? Everyone held their breath. The human fleet was smaller than the Keth fleet. But the humans had technology no one understood. They had ships that could appear from nowhere. They had weapons that no one had ever seen. A war between humans and Keth would be terrible. It might destroy half the galaxy. Jisoo smiled. No, she said. We do not want war. We do not want to destroy anyone. She looked at Commander Kreth, who stood frozen in his circle of guards. We want something worse. She touched a device on her wrist. The lights in the hall dimmed. A massive hologram appeared above everyone's heads. We want everyone to know what really happened. The hologram showed Earth. Beautiful blue Earth with its green land and white clouds. Then it showed the Keth ships arriving. It showed the demands they made. It showed the warnings they gave, the ones that were really threats. The Keth said we refuse to leave our space. That is a lie. They never asked us to leave. They told us to become their slaves. When we said no, they attacked. The hologram showed the attack. Ships falling from the sky. Cities burning. People running and screaming. Children crying. Old people dying. Some species in the hall looked away. Others watched with wide eyes. A few began to cry. This is what they did to us, Jisoo said. This is what your trade partners did. This is what your allies did. This is what you allowed to happen. The hologram changed. Now it showed the underground cities. It showed people digging tunnels with their bare hands. It showed families crowded into small rooms. It showed children being born in the dark, never seeing the sun. 17 years, Jisoo said. We lived like this for 17 years. We ate protein paste made from fungus. We drank water pulled from the rocks. We breathed air that tasted like metal. We buried our dead in the walls because we had nowhere else to put them. The hologram showed graves. Thousands of graves. Names carved into stone by people who had nothing else to give their loved ones. My grandmother died in year 8, Jisoo said. Her voice cracked for just a moment. Radiation sickness. The bombs that hit the surface leaked poison into the ground. It got into our water. It got into our food. It killed slowly, painfully. She looked at Commander Kreth. Your bombs killed my grandmother. They killed my father. They killed my teachers and my friends and my neighbors. 3 billion people died because of you. Kreth tried to speak. We were within our rights. The law allows murder? Jisoo cut him off. The law allows genocide? The law allows you to poison children and starve families and burn entire cities? She shook her head. No, the law does not protect you. Nothing protects you. Because now everyone knows what you really are. She touched her device again. The hologram changed one more time, Now it showed a map of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light, each one a planet with people watching this broadcast. This is being sent everywhere, Jisoo said. Every planet, every station, every ship with a screen. Everyone in the galaxy is watching right now. Everyone is seeing what the Keth did. Everyone is seeing what they really are. She turned to face the hall. We do not need to destroy the Keth Dominion. We do not need to burn their worlds or kill their people. We just need to tell the truth. And the truth will do the rest. Commander Kreth finally understood. This was worse than war. War could be won or lost. War could be forgotten. But this would follow the Keth forever. Every species in the galaxy would know what they had done. Every trade deal would be harder. Every alliance would be weaker. Every Keth citizen would carry this shame for the rest of their lives. You cannot do this, Kreth said. His voice was shaking. This is not justice. This is humiliation. Jisoo looked at him with cold eyes. Justice would be doing to you what you did to us. Justice would be burning your worlds and killing your children and making you live in the dark for 17 years. She stepped closer to him. This is mercy. This is us being better than you. This is us showing the galaxy that humans do not become monsters just because monsters hurt us. She turned and walked toward the exit. Her soldiers followed Dawn at the door. She stopped and looked back. The Keth Dominion survives today. Your people survive. Your world survive. But your pride dies here. Your reputation dies here. And every time you meet another species, they will look at you and remember what you really are. She paused. Cowards who tried to kill children. And failed. Then she was gone. In the silence that followed, High Arbiter Vaughn slowly lowered his arms. The rite of reckoning has been fulfilled, he said. This session is ended. No one moved. No one spoke. They just stood there, watching the hologram repeat its terrible images, and tried to understand what they had just seen. Humanity, and one not with weapons, not with war, with truth. And that was the most powerful weapon of all. Admiral Do-Hyun stood alone in his room on the flagship Sunrise. The room was small. The bed was narrow. The walls were gray metal. He had lived in rooms like this for 17 years. He did not know how to live anywhere else. Through the window, he could see the stars. Millions of stars, bright and cold and far away. Somewhere out there was Earth, wounded Earth, burned Earth, home. He was 62 years old. He had been 45 when the attack came. He'd been a captain then, commanding a small patrol ship. When the Keth arrived, his ship was one of the first to be destroyed. He had escaped in a pod. He had landed on a continent that was already burning. He had walked through fire to reach the underground cities. He had lost his left leg below the knee. The doctors had given him a metal one. It worked well enough. It got him where he needed to go. A knock came at his door. Come in, he said without turning. The door opened. A young woman stepped inside. Her name was Yoonji. She was his aide. She was 23 years old. She had been born underground, in the dark, in a city that never saw the sun. Admiral, she said, Captain Jisoo has returned to her ship. The broadcast is complete. The galaxy has seen everything. Do-Hyun nodded slowly. Good. How are the people? Confused, relieved. Some are angry that we did not attack the Keth directly. Yoonji paused. Some think we should have destroyed them. I know. Do-Hyun finally turned to face her. His eyes were tired. His face was lined with years of worry and pain. Do you think we made the right choice? Yoonji was quiet for a moment. She thought about her parents. Her father had been an engineer. He had worked on the ships that brought them here. He had worked until his heart stopped, refusing to rest while there was still metal to weld and circuits to connect. Her mother had been a teacher. She had taught children in the underground schools, telling them stories about a sky they had never seen. Both of them had died before the fleet was finished. Both of them had given everything so that others could escape. "I do not know," Yoonji said honestly. "Part of me wanted to see the Keth burn. Part of me wanted revenge for everyone we lost. And the other part? The other part remembers what my mother used to say." Yoonji smiled sadly. "She said that hate is a poison. If you drink it, you become the thing you hate. She said that the best way to defeat your enemies is to become better than them." Dawn nodded. "Your mother was a wise woman. She was." Yoonji blinked back tears. "I miss her. I miss many people." Do-hyun walked to his desk and sat down heavily. "I keep a list, you know? A list of everyone I could not save. Everyone who died so that others could live." He pulled out a small book. It was worn and old. The pages were yellow. The cover was falling apart. 3 billion names would not fit in this book. So I wrote the ones I knew personally. Friends, family, soldiers who served under me, engineers who built our ships, teachers who taught our children. He opened the book. Page after page of names, written in small, careful handwriting. 742 names. That is how many people I knew who died. 742 people who will never see the stars, never feel the sun, never know that we survived. Yoonji did not know what to say. What could anyone say? "Admiral," she said softly, "why did you choose not to attack the Keth? You have more reason than anyone to want revenge." Do-hyun closed the book and set it down. Because revenge would not bring them back. Because destroying the Keth would make us just like them. Because I wanted our children to grow up knowing that we won without becoming monsters. He looked at the window again. And because I am tired of death. 17 years of watching people die. 17 years of making choices about who lives and who does not have enough food, who does not have enough medicine, who gets left behind because there is not enough room in the ships. His voice became heavy. "Do you know what the hardest part was? Not the hunger, not the darkness, not the fear. The hardest part was looking at a list of names and knowing that I had to choose. I had to decide who would live and who would die. I had to play God with human lives." He closed his eyes. "I do not want to make those choices anymore. I do not want to decide who dies. I want to build. I want to grow. I want to find a new world and plant trees and watch children play in the sunlight." Yoonji moved closer. "We will find that world, Admiral. We will build that future. I hope so." Do-hyun opened his eyes. "But I am afraid that I will not live to see it. I am old, Yoonji, older than my years. The underground took something from me, from all of us. Then we will build it for you," Yoonji said. Her voice was firm. "You brought us this far. You kept us alive when everyone thought we were dead. You led us out of the darkness and into the light. Let us carry the weight now. Let us finish what you started." For the first time in a long time, Do-hyun smiled. "You sound like your father," he said. "He used to say things like that. He used to tell me that the young would carry us forward when the old could not walk anymore. He was right." Do-hyun stood up. He placed his hand on Yoonji's shoulder. "Then I leave the future in your hands. Yours and Jisu's and all the others who were born in the dark. You are the generation that will rebuild humanity. You are the ones who will decide what we become." Yoonji straightened her back. "We will not let you down, Admiral. I know you won't." Do-hyun picked up his book of names and held it to his chest. "I know you won't." Outside, the stars continued to shine. The fleet continued to fly. And somewhere in that vast darkness, a new home was waiting. All they had to do was find it. 6 months passed. 6 months of traveling through space. 6 months of searching for a new home. 6 months of hope and fear and waiting. Then they found it. The planet was smaller than Earth. It had 2 moons instead of 1. The air was colder. The days were longer. But it had water and land and sky. It had everything they needed. They called it New Dawn. Captain Jisoo stood on a hill overlooking the first settlement. Behind her, construction machines worked day and night. They were building homes, schools, hospitals, roads, all the things that made a place worth living in. It was not much yet. Just a few buildings and some tents. A few thousand people working to turn an empty world into a home. But it was a start. A man walked up the hill to stand beside her. He was young, maybe 30 years old. His name was Hyan. He had been a farmer on Earth before the attack. He had spent 17 years underground growing fungus in the dark. Now he was in charge of agriculture for the entire colony. "The first seeds are planted," he said. "Real seeds. Real soil. In a few months, we will have real food." Jisoo smiled. "Not fungus? Not fungus." Hyan laughed. It was a good sound. People did not laugh much underground. "I never want to see fungus again as long as I live." They stood together in silence, watching the construction. "Governor," Hyan said finally, "do you think we made the right choice? Coming here instead of going back to Earth?" Jisoo thought about the question. It was a question many people asked. Earth was still there. Wounded and poisoned, but still there. Some wanted to go back. Some wanted to rebuild the old home instead of making a new one. "Earth will heal," she said. "The scientists say it will take 100 years. Maybe 200. But it will heal. And when it does, our grandchildren can go back. Our great-grandchildren. But not us? Not us." Jisoo shook her head. "We carry too much pain. Too many memories. Every time I close my eyes, I see the fire falling from the sky. I see my parents pushing me into the basement. I hear the screaming." She touched her chest. "That pain will never go away. But maybe our children will not carry it. Maybe they will only know stories. And maybe their children will only know legends. And maybe, someday, Earth will just be a name in a history book. A place where humanity began, not where it ended." Hyan nodded slowly. "That is a nice thought. It is the only thought that keeps me going." A vehicle drove up the hill. A young woman got out. Her name was Mina. She worked in communications. She was always bringing news. "Governor," Mina said, "you have a message from Ambassador Yuna. She is still at Station Primaris, handling things with the Conclave." Jisoo took the device and read the message. "The Keth Dominion is falling apart," she said. 3 of their subject species have declared independence. 2 more are in open rebellion. Their trade alliances are collapsing. No one wants to work with them anymore. Hyan's face hardened. "Good. They deserve it. They do." Jisoo put the device away. "But that is not our concern anymore. Let them deal with the consequences of their actions. We have our own future to build." She turned and walked down the hill toward the settlement. Hyan and Mina followed in the settlement. People were working everywhere. Children were running between the tents, laughing and playing. Old people sat in the sun, feeling its warmth on their faces for the first time in years. Families were cooking real food over real fires. It was chaotic. It was messy. It was beautiful. Jisoo stopped at the center of the settlement. A small stage had been built there for announcements. She climbed onto it and looked out at her people. "Everyone," she called out. "Can I have your attention, please?" The noise slowly died down. People gathered around the stage. Children stopped playing. Workers put down their tools. 6 months ago, Jisoo said, we emerged from the darkness. 6 months ago, We showed the galaxy that humanity could not be killed so easily. 6 months ago, we began our journey to this place. She looked around at the faces watching her. Young faces, old faces, tired faces, hopeful faces. I know it has been hard. I know you are tired. I know some of you still have nightmares about the underground. I know some of you still wake up expecting to see rock walls instead of sky. She paused. But look around you. Look at what we have built. Look at what we are building. In 6 months, we have gone from refugees to pioneers, from survivors to settlers, from victims to victors. A murmur went through the crowd. Some people nodded. Others wiped tears from their eyes. We did not win by being the strongest. We did not win by having the biggest fleet or the most powerful weapons. We won by refusing to give up. We won by choosing to live when dying would have been easier. We won by being human. She raised her hand toward the sky. Look up. See those stars? Our grandchildren will visit them. Our great-grandchildren will live among them. We are not the end of humanity. We are the beginning. We are the ones who will spread across this galaxy and beyond. We are the ones who will make sure that no one ever tries to destroy us again. The crowd began to cheer. It started small, just a few voices. Then more joined. Then more. Soon the entire settlement was cheering, clapping, crying, hugging each other. Jisoo stepped down from the stage. Her legs were shaking. She was not used to giving speeches. She was not used to being a leader. But someone had to do it. Someone had to stand up and point the way forward. An old woman pushed through the crowd. It was Ambassador Yuna. She had arrived during the speech. "Grandmother," Jisoo said. "When did you get here?" Yuna smiled and took her granddaughter's hands. "Just in time to hear you speak. You did well. Your parents would be proud." Jisoo's eyes filled with tears. "I wish they were here. They are here." Yuna touched Jisoo's heart. "Everyone we lost is here. They live in us. They live in our choices. They live in the future we are building." She pulled Jisoo into a hug. "We survived, little one. We survived, and we found a new home. And now we get to live. Really live. Not just exist in the dark, but live in the light." Jisoo hugged her grandmother back. Around them, the settlement buzzed with activity. Machines continued to build. Children continued to play. The twin moons rose in the sky. Humanity had fallen. Humanity had risen. And now humanity would reach for the stars. Not because they had to, because they could. Because that was what humans did. They survived. They grew. They reached, and nothing in the galaxy could stop them. Not anymore. Not ever again.